Hello, I'm Seymour Signet. Welcome to MAGFAST family update for today, October the 13th, Friday the 13th, 2017. Your questions as always are welcome to hello@magfast.com, hello@magfast.com. I thought this week it would be fun to go through this. Everybody loves a big invoice, right? This is in my life, I've very rarely seen a bigger invoice than this. If you're some big shop, maybe you've seen bigger ones. But this is the invoice for the tooling to make the tools from P3. It's like the only thing I've seen bigger than this was when I bought my house. And I thought it'd be fun to go through it because it's incredibly detailed and you get a little bit more of an understanding of the manufacturing process. Let's just put up on the screen quickly. This is an image. It's actually not a final image, but it's one we're working on at the moment that shows all of the products in the Pro Kit and Pro Kit packaging and so on. If it looks a little fuzzy on your screen, we don't have the high resolution one yet, but you can see there's all of these different parts that have to be made, and in manufacturing terms, that means making a whole bunch of tools. And tools are these things. Let me just see if I can get the tools up here. So the tools look like this. These enormous, big, heavy blocks of metal. And you can see I've put a life charger in there to scale this. You may remember this image from the full presentation that you saw. This huge, great big, heavy thing just to make these tiny little plastic parts. So to do this, we need a bunch of tools, and I'm going to take you through them right now. But each tool is something like this. It's kind of like half the size of a washing machine or a drying machine in your kitchen. Weighs half as much as your car. These obviously it varies from product to product, the exact size and the exact weight. But we're talking about big, big, heavy items, and they have to be made with incredible care because they're made by carving out from a block of hardened steel. And so where you carve out is where the plastic can go in. So if you carve out somewhere where you shouldn't have done, you're going to have more plastic than you need. And you can't really fill that hole. If you don't carve out somewhere you should, you can go back to the tool, right, and finish it, and you can carve it out a little bit more. But it has to be done incredibly carefully because it's basically, if the chisel goes too far, then you have to start over again. And this is why it's an incredibly slow and incredibly expensive process. So let's go through the invoice bit by bit. And I'll pull it up on the screen here. So the first item, look at this, is 48, nearly $50,000, and this is tooling for the wall charger. Okay, so wall charger is the one that goes into the wall, of course. Has the tips and so on top. We'll come to the tips in a minute. So these tools, this big block of steel, is hand finished. It's CNC machine, which is the modern way of using computer controlled, making the mold with computer controlled tools. Hardened steel, suitable for high yield thermoplastic injection mold manufacturing. So high yield means we're building this thing for the long term. You've got different qualities of tools, right? Whether you want to make something really premium like this or some kind of piece of junk that's, some toy that's going to be thrown away within a week. So there's the quality of the tool, but there's also, is the thing made to produce a few hundred, a few thousand, a few tens of thousands, or in this case, doing many hundreds of thousands or millions, because we actually wrote a document recently for one of our business partners called Ready to Scale. We're building MAGFAST, thanks to you. We're building MAGFAST from the ground up so that it's ready when we're shipping and so on. That we're ready to scale it and create the company that we've dreamed of, and that I hope you're sharing in the dream. So you can see all of these different models that this tool is going to work for here. There's a whole different bunch of them. We've got the regular, the surge protected, the double the power with surge protection, and then there's the two colors, green and white. And so that makes a total of 6 different models, all of which are going to be served by this tool. And then the next thing is certification for the wall charger models here. Another $17,500. So certification is this. This is another P3's other. By the way, if you ever need to measure the amount of electricity you're using in your home, you want to go to the kilowatt, P3's kilowatt. And certification is this thing on the back. I don't know if you can see where it says ETL here on the back. So this is where an independent laboratory does this crazy number of tests to make sure that this, because remember the wall charger is plugged into the wall, right? Plugs into the wall. So if there's something like a lightning strike or some sort of surge, that it will behave in such a way as to safely fail. It actually has systems inside it that are designed that it'll break itself, but it won't overheat, and that we can only imagine what the consequences of that are. So certification is critical, and it takes a long time. It takes 3 months, and there's just basically nothing you can do about it. But they are, to say that they are rigorous would be understating it. So certification for the wall charger models. All right, micro USB adapter tip tooling. Okay, so so we have the, where is it now? Yeah, so we have the 3 tips. Micro USB is this one in the middle here, right, which is the old-fashioned one that was used for many, many years. It's not a very good connector. It's like it was poorly designed in the first place, but it was what was used on everything until a year or two ago when USB-C started to come in. That's this guy here, which is a fantastic connector. So this is really what all of the good Android and other brands are using, apart from Apple now, is USB-C. On the phones, Apple are using USB-C elsewhere on their laptops and so on. And then over here we've got the Apple Lightning connector, which is, I tell you, if ever you get involved in this business, the Apple one is a real challenge, because you have to buy specially certified chips from them, and it increases the cost of them tremendously. There's like $4 or $5 of hard costs, I think it is. I forget what the number is, but there's some really significant extra cost in there. All right. So micro USB tip tooling. So it's the tool that can make the little tips. You just saw what the finished ones are going to look like. Here's one of the. This is a working sample. It doesn't quite have the nice curved edges on the top, but this is a working sample that we got in a little while back. So this is the tooling to make these in their tens of thousands, hundreds of thousands, millions. So tooling for micro, tooling for lightning. You can see these tools are actually, in the world of tooling, they're quite moderately priced, about $2,000 each. And for USB-C. And then we go on to micro USB, lightning. This is the family cable tooling. Let's just look at the cables. These ones here on these models they're kind of yellowing because they were made with some sort of what's the word? It'll come back to me in a second. But these are models rather than the finished material. But this is the cable. You remember that goes into the top of each of the chargers. It comes out like this, and it's replaceable. So if the dog chews it or it breaks, or you need to switch over to a different type, you'll be able to switch. This one's a model of a lightning connector. You'll be able to switch it to any of the others, and it's common to each of all 4 of them here. So to each of the different battery types, each uses the same cable in at the end. So that's why we call it the family cable, because it's part of the family, the system, the family system. So $2,000 for each of those. Tooling. Right. Common parts tooling, cap, body cavity, and bottom cavity with micro USB input. So what this is about is I just showed you the end here, like all of these 4 ends on the power bank. So you've got life charger here, road charger here, time charger here, life charger extreme on the end here. And if you look, they all have exactly the same end. That's why it's a system. That's why everything snaps together. That's why you fell in love with it in the first place. And if we look at the other end, with the exception of Life Charger Extreme, that of course has more inputs and outputs, including the one to jump start your car, these 3 have the same end caps here. So we have a lot of common parts, and this is a deliberate part of the design for manufacturing, is to make sure that you can minimize, even though this tooling bill is huge, it's actually minimized by making sure that the tool that makes this cap is also the tool that makes this cap, that's also the tool that makes this cap, because the caps are exactly the same, and then the tool that makes this end piece is the same for each of them. So we have these common parts for tooling, $21,000, $20,875 to make the tools for those 3 end caps, right, which is basically 1 end cap used on 3. And that 1 end cap that's used on 4 of the models. 4 for now. All right, what else? Then there's the individual tooling for Life Charger. All right, so Life Charger itself has this shorter body here, with the button in the middle and so on. So this shell here All right, and any internal stuff is going to be unique just to this one model. There's two of them in white and green. There's the SKUs. All right, then there's the individual tooling for road charger, and you'll see if we put them both on together there. All right, road charger is a bit more. Well, why is it more? Well, it's more complicated because instead of just being a shell, if you look at life charger, it's just a shell, right? The unique part is just a shell. Smooth on that side, smooth on that with the button in it, smooth on that side, smooth on that side. Whereas when we come to road charger, look at it, it's way more complicated. This side is the same, and this side is the same, but this is way more complicated. So you have to have a tool that has to kind of come in and make those cavities pull out. Then they've got to be made sure they're all beautiful and smooth. And then at this end as well, again, much more complicated because of the section that goes into your 12 volt charger. So in some ways, I mean, what's the difference between those two? $4,500. In some ways, it's kind of surprising to me that road charger doesn't command more of a premium than that. Tooling for air charger is next. Okay, here's air charger. This is the one, I think I mentioned this before. This is the one where the envelope is changing very slightly. We already, when we showed it to you, and when we showed it to you originally, we'd already made it a little taller than this in the animations and so on that you saw with a little more volume down the bottom. This is the original air charger model, so air charger, what does that come to? $15,000. And then time charger is more again because it has this mechanism in it, right? Okay, so here's time charger. It's also got the common end parts and so on, but now it's got, don't you love this? It's got the little platform that comes out like that. Time charger for Apple Watch. Love this. Mwah. Love this little guy. And then finally, the tooling for life charger extreme. Right. This guy is the real monster. So it's larger around the side here, and then it has to have its own individual end cap to accommodate the extra USB outlets and the different ways of getting charge in, and of course that big hefty 12 volt can jumpstart your car. So there it is, $187,000. We're sending this off now to our friends at Stripe. Stripe is the card processor we use, and I don't know if I told you this before, but part of the process we have with them is because it's pre-orders, they manage the money very carefully. They don't give it all to us at once. They give us a whole block to get development underway, to keep the team eating ramen noodles while we work on this. And then as agreed with them ages ago, when the tooling invoice comes in, we send it over to them, and they release the money for the tooling. So it's all part of the process of making sure that that we and other teams working on pre-orders, that they're managing that they're managing the process in a way that kind of protects you and protects the banking industry as well. All right, that's it, I think, for this week. I hope that's been interesting to you. I think that this whole tooling thing is, man, you look around the room that you're in right now, and just about every single object in the room was made, right? Maybe one or two, maybe you made one or two of the things yourself, but for most of us, most of the things in the room were manufactured somewhere or other by some process or other. And this gives you some idea of the kind of incredible work and incredible costs that go into just every single thing, you're surrounded by. I'm just looking at everything. The lamp over there, the fan over there, the pen over there. Someone spent $10,000 making the tool for this little pen. By the way, the reason that the tool for this would have been expensive, just picking it off my desk here, is not because of this, but because they make these probably 100 at a time. And I think somewhere on the invoice just there was the word multi-cavity. I think it said multi-cavity as necessary. Multi-cavity is when you make a tool not just with one cavity, with one mold where you can make one at a time, but sometimes you make multi-cavity. That might be something we might do for the tips, for instance, where we make multiple cavities, inject, and lots of the tips come in. Hello at magfast.com. Hello at magfast.com for any questions, any customer support, anything you want to know. We'll tell you about the free gifts for friends and family that I mentioned to you last week very soon, I promise. But you might like to start thinking of a few, haven't decided how many yet, but start writing a little list of members of the family that you might like to give a free give a wall charge to, to be a gift to them. We'll give it to you. And as I showed you last week, give you the chance to add 1 or 2 other bits and pieces to it, which makes it a great gift for them. Maybe we're helping you out a little bit, and certainly you'd be helping us out a bit. So maybe we can get a win-win-win for everybody. All right, that's it. Thank you so much. October 13th update. Seymour Segnet signing out. hello@magfast.com. If you've got any questions, anything we can answer, we're always here. Always get back to you within a day or 2. Thanks so much for now.